Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Crypto Warehouse morning show. It's the 21st of March. It's 11 a.m. We are live. We're not a recording. We are actually here. Good morning to everybody that is watching. Hidden Agendas is here. Kishan is here. And there are some secret lurkers here. The question of the day is, of course, did Mike actually fix Bitcoin? I took a day off on Tuesday. We needed to solve some things in the house. You all broke Bitcoin, and now I've come back. We are back at the levels we were at before I went away. So I think we can safely assume that I am solely responsible for Bitcoin, and you need to watch and listen to me every day to find out what is really happening. So then, what are we going to go through today? Well, first of all, we're going to have a look at what happened with the FOMC meeting. We're going to look at the Ethereum probe. The SEC have contacted Ethereum. We're going to look at a $10 XRP. How do we get there? Then we're going to look at a Japanese pension. We're going to look at where Do Kwon has been sent. If you don't know, make sure you watch that. And then my final thoughts, which I normally come up with by the end of the show. That's it. We're going to try and do it all in an hour. Yesterday, we really overran because there was too much to get into the show. So we're not going to try and overrun too much today. I am having a meeting at 12:30, which is in an hour and a half from now, so we will get on with the show. Bottom right hand corner, I am sticking to my $74,000 target. Once we get to the $74,000 target, I have the next target for Bitcoin, which I won't say until we reach this. Bottom left hand corner, you will see we have hit 110,000 followers. That's across all of the platforms that we stream on. The numbers are real. It's an unbelievable number considering we weren't really streaming this time last year. We only really started streaming about May last year on these platforms. So we've done incredibly well over the last 10 months maybe. So all you need to do to help us out is smash the like button. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you turn the notification bell on or whatever else you've got. And that's it. Sit back and enjoy the rest of the show. So let's get into the markets. First of all, market cap is back up to 2.54 trillion. We are up just over, or just under 1%, should I say. Volume is down a bit, but still 150 billion a day. I think we should start to expect 150 to 200 billion a day. Remember, the higher the market cap of the different cryptocurrencies, the higher the value of the different cryptocurrencies, the more that volume is going to be. In 12 months' time, it's probably going to be 300 or 400 billion a day because it goes up, obviously, as the Bitcoin price and Ethereum price goes up. Dominance is coming in between Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not going to keep saying it. We're at roughly 70% of the total market supply. I am going to talk about Book of Meme again in a minute because somebody, well, actually not somebody, two people asked me yesterday, should they buy it? And I'm going to tell you that in a second when we get down to have a look at the prices. Bitcoin, just under 67,000. Ethereum, just over 3,500. And remember what I was saying yesterday, I think it was, about meme coins. They are the first ones to die. They are like the canaries in the mine. They're the ones that get killed first. But when Bitcoin recovers, they rip past Bitcoin. So over the next few days, and we're going to talk about Bitcoin later, if Bitcoin can hold these levels, then expect the meme coins to rip. That's my prediction because we've had a massive retracement. Everybody sold off their memes. I think they're going to come back this week if Bitcoin can hold the line. Ondo is up. Casper, Jasmine, Bitcoin Cash, Ronin, Sui is up. There's a lot of gainers. Pepe is in there. I don't think there's too many losers. Really? Well, there we go. Poor old Render. All on its own there. As you can see, the rest of these coins down here are the stable coins on days like this when you have big green days. The stable coins are the ones that make up the majority of the losers because they don't move in price. So that's pretty much it for the markets. Now, very quickly then, before we talk about anything else, I will just bring up Book of Meme. I made the video on Saturday. I talked about it yesterday. I made a video when Book of Meme was 2.7 cents. And I said, do not buy this token. It's wholly overvalued. It was $1.4 billion at the time I recorded the video. We've come all the way down to $600 million. If you want to buy this meme coin, then this would be the time to buy it. One of two things is going to happen with this meme coin. It's going to go sub 200 million and it's going to fade into obscurity, or it's going to rip. Remember, it's set a 2.5 cent all-time high. So people wanting to buy into meme coins like Pepe or Bonk, they've seen where the prices can get to. So is one cent for Book of Meme reasonable? Yes. Why? It doesn't actually have a very high circulating supply, believe it or not. It's not in its trillions. There's only 69 billion. That doesn't sound like a lot. And it isn't compared to things like SHIB. So I think Book of Meme could go back to 2 cents. It could go back to 3 cents, especially in the bull run. Now, I've bought about $15. The only reason I've bought this token is so I can go and have a look at the alpha quests, which are coming up. And Dark Soul, I think he's called, has released an update this morning. He's now building it out. So the Book of Memes is going to be a bit of an interesting project. I'm not against the project. I'm just against people paying nearly 3 cents for a token that's not been around for very long and hit a $1.5 billion market cap. So I'm not fading the project, I'm fading the price. So for me, at 1 cent, if you want to get into Book of Meme, go ahead. Now would be a good time to buy it. I think if Bitcoin holds the line, this could go back up towards 2 or 3 cents, in my humble opinion. Now then, let's get on with the X-Files. Again, these are snippets from across Twitter, which kind of don't need too much talking about, but they're interesting. Now, the first one isn't anything to do with crypto. The Neuralink, which is something that was produced by Elon Musk and his team. Let me turn the volume off on this. There we go. He is able to control a computer and play chess just by thinking. So I don't know what side of the fence you sit on. Some people think he is the reincarnation of somebody who I won't mention. Other people think he's a blessing to mankind. It's interesting, whichever way you look at it. Bitcoin back over $68,000 with a massive $6,000 green candle. The biggest daily increase since February 2021. That is not a bad green candle. And we're going to get on to explain why that happened in a second. But a $6,000 green candle is not something you see every day. Good morning, Tartarland. I hope you are well. Now, the SEC has just posted an application for a spot Bitcoin ETF that will hold carbon credit futures. So it's an ESG-friendly spot Bitcoin ETF. The final deadline will be November the 21st, 2024. And they assume it will be approved. Morning, Daniel. So why is that important? Because some companies have moral obligations to not invest or divest their funds into projects or stocks that harm the environment. And Bitcoin is still seen, even though it's not, is still seen as a massive drain on society, a drain on resources, even though I think we're at 60% renewables now for Bitcoin. It was only 35%, I think 40% when Elon Musk had a go 2 years ago. So we've come a long way. We've got thermal energy coming on board. We have is it called flare? The flare energy, where it's generating Bitcoin based on the flaring on the oil rigs. All these things actually benefit mankind rather than detract. So having this eco-friendly spot Bitcoin ETF, it's not, Greta Thunberg isn't going to buy it, but there are going to be people out there that want to be environmentally friendly, and that would be the spot Bitcoin ETF for them. So, Brian Quintez, when the SEC allowed ETH futures ETFs to trade on its regulated security exchanges, it explicitly acknowledged the status of the underlying ETH as being a non-security and outside of its jurisdiction. We're going to talk about that in a minute, when even Charles Hoskinson has got in on the act. So we're going to tell you a bit more about that in a minute. But the SEC is trying to prove that Ethereum is a security, and everything points to the fact that they are fully aware that it isn't a security. They are shameful individuals. Good morning, Kishan. Kishan must have about 6 monitors to watch us across the different platforms every morning. Good morning, Kishan. Good morning, Jesse. Welcome back to the stream. So, sentiment, or should I say sentiment, is a really good X account to follow. There's a few of them out there. There's Hodler15, there's Eric Balchunas, there's Sentiment. They give you, basically they tell you what I go through in the morning pretty much. So if you can't make the stream, just go and follow those guys on X and you'll get most of this news there. So the FOMC has announced that interest rates will be standing pat for the time being, whatever that means. Crypto markets have rebounded with a vengeance. Trader bullishness is high as the Fed's decision benefits equities and cryptocurrencies correlation with the S&P 500. And there we can see a beautiful little graph demonstrating this spike. So that'll be enough for them. We need to get on. It's 11:11. I don't want to overrun too much, but I am going to try and explain to you what I think Chairman Powell is trying to do. And that is that he's backed himself into a corner, as most of these politicians tend to do. They come out, and as I say, do as they do, not as they say. And the reason for that is that if Chairman Powell comes out and says, yeah, everything is fine, bruv, we're all good, we're going to drop interest rates to 1% tomorrow and the markets will rip, inflation will go through the roof, we're back to square one. So Chairman Powell has to do things gently, and he's failing simply because he doesn't have enough left to hold on to. He's trying to be as bearish as possible, but he can't because there's no bearish news. There's no bearish news about the economy. And we're going to go through the reasons why in this article, hopefully. So 67,000 for Bitcoin. We wicked all the way up. ETH rebounds. Chairman Powell came out and was dovish. Remember, there's hawkish and dovish. Hawkish is where you say, we're going to keep putting interest rates. Inflation is out of control. We need to put interest rates up to 7%. We need to slow the economy down. That's hawkish news. Dovish news is a lot more passive, a lot more peaceful, a lot more, we're going to start reducing interest rates this year. Maybe we'll have 3 rate cuts this year, be down by 4.5% by the end of the year. That's dovish. That's showing that they are going to take their leash off a little bit, or loosen the leash, should I say. And that's what Chairman Powell did yesterday. And he doesn't have a choice. Now, hopefully this mentions unemployment in here. Because if it doesn't, that will be the reason why I think it's sooner rather than later that interest rates start to be cut. So Chairman Powell hit a dovish tone after, and the central bank maintained its outlook for 3 rate cuts this year. Now, bear in mind, we're at the end of March, so we have 9 months left of the year. They have 3 rate cuts. Now, that sounds like it could be one every 3 months. They don't meet every month. I think they only meet 9 times a year. Good morning, Tariq. So, for argument's sake, let's say they've got 6 more meetings and they have 3 more rate cuts. The election is in November for the American presidency. So do you think the final rate cut of the year is going to be in December, or do you think it's going to be in November? I think it will be in November. So if you move forward, you've got November, September, and then there's a gap. So I think we're going to see that rate cut in May or June. That's the first one, which is only the month after next at the earliest. Hang on a second. Does it mention unemployment in here? There is a few things that Chairman Powell focuses on when he talks about rate cuts. He talks about the labour market, he talks about the housing market, and he talks about inflation. Housing is cooling, inflation is coming down, even though it's a little bit sticky. But unemployment, I think, is somewhere like 3.9%. If it goes above 4% to 4.1%, he is going to stall the economy. Because for every person who's unemployed, it becomes a drag on the government. So 4.1% doesn't sound like a lot. It is a lot when you're talking about 400 million people. It's an extra, I don't know, 400,000 people on the unemployment list. So he has to keep it tight. And I think that if unemployment hits 4%, which is their target, and goes to 4.1, we're going to see interest rates coming down in May. Why does that make any difference? Because the halving is on April the 19th. So if we have the halving on April the 19th and they meet on May the 2nd or May the 3rd and they cut interest rates 2 weeks after the halving, what do you think is going to happen? Because what does a rate cut mean? It gives everybody more money and it reduces the cost of borrowing for businesses. So businesses can employ more people and you have more money to spend. Bitcoin gets anywhere near $70,000 or $80,000 by April, and people are going to look at it and think, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin because it's probably going to go to $100,000. We're putting more money in people's pockets 2 weeks after the halving. So that's why it's important that interest rates come down. Now, FedU believes it's going to start happening in June. Again, I would not have a problem with it happening in June. My only consideration is unemployment goes up too high, it will start in May, not June. But either way, there's a 4-week difference. Then if we have it in June, I believe there is a break in the summer. So I don't think we'd get one in July or August. I think we'd then get one in September. Once we get one in September, the next one would be in November. So for me, we could have June, September, and November. 3 rate cuts, and that would be it by the end of the year. But we'd have potentially 1% less interest rates, which on a mortgage is a considerable amount. Anyway, the most important thing to take out of this is that interest rates are coming down. Inflation is coming down. We now need to stop the Americans from sitting around and doing nothing all day. So where are we then? Well, we drew some fairly bearish lines yesterday, and this is where Bitcoin needed to hold the line. I said 62,500. I also said 57,000. Now, we've kind of come back into this area here. So we've really got to do one thing. We need to hold this volume area. We need to hold here, because if we lose it, we're going to come straight back down to here again. Now, you might not think we're going to come back down because we've just wicked up $6,000 in a day, but we need to hang around for a while. We need to hold these lines of support. And this is a good area because once, if we spend the next 2 or 3 days here, choppy like this, this gives us a run back up towards where we were, 71,000. If we break down back into this range where we were stuck over here, and we wicked down to in this little bit of pre-FOMC panic, then we could be stuck just above 60,000 for a while. If we don't hold that, then we have to look for the next area down, which is this 57,000. We might not get that low. Maybe we come down as far as 59,000, somewhere about, or 60,000, something like that. But anyway, the point of the matter is, it's great that we've got back towards 67,000. We need to hold it. We need the ETFs to come back in today and tomorrow and start buying up the Bitcoin. We need Grayscale to stop selling, because Grayscale is selling the backside out of Bitcoin at the minute. And even though BlackRock is buying 10,000 Bitcoin a day on its own, Grayscale is just sitting there throwing its Bitcoin out the door to try and keep its hot air balloon high, because Grayscale is sinking without a trace at the minute. It's shedding Bitcoin left, right, and center. So we need the selling pressure on Grayscale to stop. And they've already mentioned they're going to cut their rates very soon. Don't know whether they're going to cut them to 0.5% or 0.25%, or whatever it might be. But we need that to stop. Once that stops, then we can start talking about these prices again. But at the minute, all of the buying pressure of the ETFs is being negated by the sell pressure of Grayscale and Galaxy and everything else that's going on. So for me, if we spend the weekend at $66,000 to $67,000, I would be delighted. If we can just hold this area here, I would be absolutely delighted. And if we come crashing straight back down, then I will be far from pleased. Right then, so Ethereum is a security. True or false? Well, according to the SEC, they believe that Ethereum is a security. And crypto firms have been subpoenaed by the SEC in connection with the Ethereum Foundation. Subpoenas sent to 3 well-known crypto companies asking for documents and records about the Ethereum Foundation. Now, you might not remember this, but this is another one of those I told you so's. And the reason I'm telling you it's an I told you so is because every single person said that we were going to get the Ethereum ETF in May. Now, I said it's apples and pears. Bitcoin has no central head. It doesn't have a focal point for an attack. Bitcoin is a decentralized, autonomous, uncensorable, mined cryptocurrency. Ethereum isn't. What is Ethereum? Ethereum has the Ethereum Foundation. It had a kind of pre-mined ICO, so it already had tokens that it gave out. Vitalik is the head of the organization. And I said, way back when, look at what the SEC did before it approved the Bitcoin ETF. It had CZ removed from position. Why? Because CZ was the biggest threat to the SEC because of the position he held, not just in that company, but in crypto. Now, what do you think is going to happen to Ethereum? In my opinion, they are going to find Vitalik guilty of something to do with a pre-sale ICO. There will be a fine, and Vitalik will be made to step aside, and a yes man, or let's not call him a yes man, a money man, will be moved into position of power within the Ethereum Foundation, because they are trying to take out what they consider to be the front runners of crypto. You look at all the people that run organizations, and they are going after them one by one. Now, people like Charles Hoskinson, who we're going to get onto in a minute, he's next on the list. They're going to go after Charles. They're going to go after Vitalik. They are going after CZ. They're going after anybody who's anybody. All right, Sam Bankman-Fried, he will go to prison for a very long time, and he is guilty. But the SEC played their part in making FTX by not having them regulated in America. It forced them to go to Barbados. And then when they're there, a bunch of kids with hundreds of millions of dollars are going to do what? They're going to buy themselves a zombie island, they're going to buy yachts, they're going to buy helicopters, and they're going to run amok. And that's what they did, because the SEC pushed them away. So the SEC, in my opinion, are going after Vitalik, and they want to classify Ethereum as a security. Now, when Ethereum was proof of work, in my opinion, they had no grounding to go after it, because it's like gold or oil or coal. Even though it's a digital version of it, you're still mining that asset. It uses energy. to mine the asset. So as far as I'm concerned, they're trying to go after Ethereum because it has a head, and they want to cut the head off that snake. That's what they're doing this for. And they want rid of Vitalik, and they want Ethereum controlled, because the second that BlackRock gets its hands on Ethereum, and by the way, BlackRock don't want Vitalik in charge. Do you think BlackRock want to invest in a project where the head of it walks around dressed as Pikachu with a bum bag on and a World War II hat? They don't. They want him gone. They want a money man in place, because Ethereum is now proof of stake, which means it can be controlled. BlackRock comes along and buys 20 million Ethereum. It will control the Ethereum network, and they can do what they want with it. It's not like Bitcoin. They're two separate things altogether, and that's what I've been saying all along. They are not the same. Now, there is another way to look at this, and Hester Peirce, if she was put into power in March next year, she has a different view on it. What I'm talking about is the view the SEC are taking, not my personal view. She will come along, she will look at what happened, she will probably approve an Ethereum ETF. But there will be consequences to Ethereum if they don't toe the line. Now, bear in mind, there is 9 months left, maybe 10 months left of Gary Gensler in charge. So if the Ethereum Foundation can hold on until the beginning of next year, they will see off Gary Gensler, and the SEC's position will change. What does that mean? No, it means there's not going to be an Ethereum ETF. It's not going to happen. If it happens in May, I will eat the second hat to go with the first hat I'm going to eat for it not hitting $3,000, because it's not going to happen. So we've had people talking about this. Everybody's come out. They've got the Ethereum applications going in. It's the same people that have been applying for the Bitcoin Ethereum. You've got Grayscale, you've got BlackRock, Fidelity, ARK Invest, I'm sure, are in there with 21 shares. This is the deadline, and these are the third deadlines, and the final deadline being in May. Now, I don't see it happening in May. I just don't see it. Eric Balchunas, I will read his comment out. He thinks there's a 35% chance of the Ethereum ETF being approved in May. I don't see it. I don't see it. Like I said yesterday, we need fuel for the fire next year, and that fuel, in my opinion, is the Ethereum ETF. Now, before we get onto the chart, I just want to very quickly show you what Charles has had to say about this. Now, I like Charles. Charles goes looking for UFO objects at the bottom of the ocean. Charles likes to... Uh-oh, Charles has removed his post. Charles... Okay, so what basically Charles said was that the second that Ethereum switched from proof of work to proof of stake, it became a second chain. It became a different project, a different product. So as far as any previous history with the SEC and the Ethereum Foundation, it would only be based on the proof of work side, not the existing version, because it's converted. Remember, we went from ETH to ETH2. That's what happened. We went from proof of work to proof of stake. So Charles was like, as soon as that happened, that reset the clock, that reset everything to do with Ethereum. And there are a lot of people out there who totally agree with Charles, because it's like changing changing the type of stock, changing the type of asset. So he believes it should only be from the upgrade onwards. Now, the upgrade onwards, there's nothing to declare. It's not an ICO. Nothing was sold. So this could probably be only on historical problems with Ethereum. And that's where Vitalik could be in trouble, because we all know he didn't really play by the rules back then. Good morning, Bullish Bull. Late to the party, now you're here. Well, you're more than welcome. You are more than welcome. We're just talking about Vitalik being dressed as Pikachu and how Gary Gensler doesn't like Pokemon. So that's where we are. Now, price-wise, what do we see on Ethereum? Well, very similar to Bitcoin. We came really close to losing this range down here. We came very close to coming down. Now, I said we could probably see somewhere like $2,900 if we were in a bearish situation, if we were in a hawkish situation. We didn't. We've come back up, back into this zone here where we were 2 weeks ago. So we've not done too bad, very similar. What do I think is going to happen with Ethereum? I think that the Ethereum ETF, when it is rejected in May, I think there is going to be some downward pressure on Ethereum. That's what I think. I'm not saying it for a fact. But look at what happened with Bitcoin. Starting from October last year, all the way through to January, a lot of that buy pressure was based on the proviso we were going to get the ETF. Ethereum is having the same kind of run. I don't think we are going to get that Ethereum ETF. Look at what we've done. We've gone from this range here, sorry, this price here, all the way up. We touched $4,100. We doubled in price on Ethereum, the second largest cryptocurrency. We've retraced somewhat, admittedly, but where are we going to go? Where are we going to go without the ETF news? I don't see us ripping past 4,000 to 5,000. I see us consolidating. Remember, we've got let's put the line back on this one. We've got this line here. This is the kind of the Ethereum bull market support band, $2,700. That's where I think we could go on Ethereum. I'm not as bullish on Ethereum as I am on Bitcoin because I think a lot of the price action on Ethereum is based on the approval of the Ethereum ETF. When it doesn't happen, I think we could see somewhat of a sell-off. Much as we don't want to see that, we could see somewhat of a sell-off. Now, if Bitcoin rips, we all know crypto rips. So maybe it will be negated by the Bitcoin pump. Maybe Ethereum will be dragged along with Bitcoin. But I don't know how far Ethereum can go without that Ethereum ETF outside of what it would traditionally go to. So if we say without an Ethereum ETF, Ethereum could go to, say, $12,000. With an Ethereum ETF, we could be looking at $20,000, $25,000, for example. So there is a big difference in where Ethereum can go. We all know it's going to be approved. We all know there's going to be an Ethereum ETF. It's not if, but when. And I think the when is going to be March, April next year. I don't think it's going to be May. If it's May, believe you me, I will be over the moon because I have a big bag of Ethereum and I will be delighted if I'm sitting here talking to you from my green Lamborghini about how well Ethereum has done to get to $20,000. But we're nowhere near that. And the SEC is sniffing around trying to come after them. So as far as I'm concerned, I am neutral on Bitcoin if we can hold 67,000. I am slightly bearish on Ethereum right now, even though it's recovered. I think the news coming out over the next couple of weeks could push the price down. I think we could retest $3,000. So I'm fairly bearish on Ethereum. But what does that mean for you? It means a buying opportunity. When we were at $4,200, which was, what's that, 9 days ago? So 9 days ago, if I said to you, I will sell you a $3,000 Ethereum, what would you do? You'd snap my hand off. You'd snap my hand off. So I'm saying to you, we could possibly see $3,000. We could possibly see $2,700. Don't sell based on what I'm saying, but look to dollar cost average in. We are still just under a month away from the halving. We haven't entered the bull market, the full swing of the bull market. We're pre-bull market. We're in it, but we're not in it. It's like it's the end of the beginning of the bull market, if that makes sense. So now is a good time to get in. Dollar cost average in. I was saying to you back here, dollar cost average in. If you'd have been buying all of this, and you'd be thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I'm buying it at this price. And guess what? You're now buying it at this price as well. So dollar cost averaging in will give you an average of, let's say, $3,000, $3,200. If we're hitting $15,000, you've 5x'd your money. So let's not worry too much about whether it's 3.5, 3.2, 3 right now. because we are going to end up, hopefully, I can't guarantee it, but I think if history does rhyme, we're going to end up with a 5-figure Ethereum in the bull run. Now then, XRP has taken an absolute hammering from everybody. People are selling out of XRP. They think it's dead. They think it's all over. And that is always the best time to buy a major cryptocurrency. If you think for 1 minute that XRP is going to go out of business or XRP isn't going to be here, you are sadly mistaken. XRP is going to be fully integrated with the banking system, fully integrated with Chainlink. It's going to have CBDCs based on it. It's potentially going to be used as a currency. It's cross-border payments for banks. It's not decentralized. It's not a true cryptocurrency, but I don't care. I do not care whether XRP is owned by one man as long as the project fulfills its destiny. And that's, unfortunately, in this case, for it to be involved with the banking system, it has to have some centralization. You cannot expect traditional 400, 300-year-old banks to integrate a cryptocurrency run by people who dress like Pikachu. Another reason they need to get rid of Vitalik. R38, morning, welcome to the stream. I hope you are doing well. Remember, if you are new here, smash the like button. Look at Gary, huge pump came, fantastic. Do you know the thing about Gary Network? I made a video about Gary Network and I didn't know what to think of it before I started it. Project is sound, team is sound, marketing is dreadful, absolutely dreadful marketing. I could do better marketing myself, but as a project, makes perfect sense. The token makes perfect sense. So Gary Network kind of gets a 3 or no, probably gets a 4 out of 5 from me. So why could XRP hit $10? My prediction for the bull run, I think I've got it in a video somewhere, is $5 to $8 is my prediction for XRP in this bull run. I'm not sure you're going to see the $689 that people talk about. I don't think you're going to see that. Nick argues that XRP hitting these prices is not far-fetched, since still much room for growth for the two largest crypto tokens by market cap, Bitcoin and Ethereum. As those two tokens continue to increase in price, he expects XRP to follow suit. Interestingly, he opined that his XRP prediction is conservative, suggesting XRP could go way higher. Now, XRP has changed. It is not the same XRP. Joe Vicverse, why XRP slow to grow? There is one major reason why XRP is slow to grow. Very simply, there is still the second part of the SEC lawsuit against XRP, and Ripple Labs is outstanding. They have not agreed on a settlement. Now, major institutions have risk departments, and those risk departments stop you from buying risky assets. And if you look at Bitcoin, why is Bitcoin going to be owned by Apple or Google or Amazon? Because it's uncensorable, store of value, it's decentralized, there's no focal point, there's no head. The only risk is price volatility. If you look at XRP and you do a comparison, why is XRP a riskier asset to hold? It's more centralized. There's a company behind it. They are being sued by the SEC for it to be a security. We've already seen that the secondary market isn't classified as a security. So that's the major part of the case has gone. But we're still seeing this hangover of the fine against Ripple Labs. And until the fine is paid, whatever that might be, until it is closed, no institutional investor or high net worth individual or sovereign state will buy XRP. It is as simple as that. And if you want to see how well crypto is going to do without institutional and high net worth individuals buying it, look at XRP, because XRP is growing. XRP, believe it or not, you might say it's not moving, but if I bring up the chart before we go through the article, I want to show you the trend line that XRP has been on forever and a day. Right, so let's go there. Let's stay on this. Okay. All right, let's get rid of some of these lines for a second. Now, you see this white line here. This white line, I've drawn this white line for a year. This is nearly 2 years old. The price of XRP was 30 cents. And for nearly 2 years now, so 22 months, look at what XRP has done. That was the win against the SEC. But as I always say, when something wicks up like that, it's always going to come back down, and it always does. And look at where we are. We're going to call this the NES chart. We dipped a little bit, we've come back down, and guess where we are now? In fact, that line probably needs to be extended a little bit because the chart's getting a bit old now. So there we are. 2 years we have been on the same trajectory for XRP. Slow and steady growth. It's there for everybody to see. Go and pull up the chart yourself. You will see that line. We have all of this, and all of this. Volume profile back at 38 cents. We've got it at 50 cents. We've got it up here at 62 cents, which is exactly where we are now. If I move in a little bit to show you where we are sitting at another green flag. This is the bull market support band of XRP. Look what happens. It bounces. It's like a trampoline. You bounce off it. Now, when you break down, it's normally fairly hard to get back up, but it hasn't stayed below. It's come back up. It's bounced. It's gone up. And guess what? It's just bounced. So what's going to happen to XRP? It's going to do that again. So we're probably going to see a 72 cent XRP in the next few weeks. It's like clockwork XRP. It just follows the charts. So that's why XRP for me is where it is. It's the court case. The settlement is probably going to be $200 or $300 million, which sounds a lot of money until you realize I think they've got something like $2 or $3 billion in the bank. So, Joe, it has been settled. The main point was here. This was July last year. This was the judge ruling in favor of XRP, that every coin you buy on the exchange that you are on is not a security. It is the only cryptocurrency in the world that has legally won the argument that it is not a security. And that was why we spiked. But we spiked too soon. There was no support. There was no steady. You see me draw every day. You see me draw these steps. And the reason I draw these steps is, if there is a correction, it gives your coin the chance to find a previous level of support. And the reason why it needs to do that, because when it does that, it doesn't have the steps to come down. So it's like being on a trampoline. You bounce straight up and you come straight back down, because the buy pressure is the news being announced, and the sell pressure is of all these people, all the people here who had a 45 cent XRP on the Sunday. You get to the Thursday, it's suddenly at 94 cents. They've made 110% profit in 3 days. So what do you think people are going to do? They're going to sell the backside out of XRP and drive the price down. And that's exactly what happened. So for me, once the court case is approved, that the fine is paid, we should see XRP back at $1, if not more. Now, if it gets to $1, then we're talking about potentially a 5 to 8x in the bull run. That puts us at $7 or $8. That's a great target from where we are now. It's a 12x roughly from where we are now. That's not bad for a coin of this size. But the longevity of XRP is what's interesting, not the quick gains. The same with Bitcoin, the longevity of Bitcoin. We don't know the future of Ethereum because Solana is cannibalizing Ethereum every day. The metrics of Solana rank it above Ethereum at this moment in time. It doesn't rank it above Ethereum and all the layer 2s combined, but if you look for volume, if you look at transactions, if you look at activity, then Ethereum is being devoured by Solana. And that's great for Solana, not so good for Ethereum. And if Ethereum has this SEC case on its back, it's not going to bode well. It's not going to bode well for Ethereum. And there could be, we talk about the flippening quite a lot. The flippening is where the market cap of Ethereum is supposed to go above the market cap of Bitcoin. The 2026 flippening could be Solana overtaking Ethereum. And I never thought I would say that 6 months ago. But Ethereum, with the Denken upgrade, has now made everything easier to use. Arbitrum and Optimism are less than 1 cent a transaction. I think Matic is 12 cents a transaction. So it slashed the fees, which is amazing for all the layer 2s because they can now do a lot more. Gaming will go more to layer 2s. It's great, but Solana is still every day catching up with Ethereum. And I think that's why you're seeing Raoul Pal and ETH maxes starting to mention the word Solana. Even Ben Armstrong, BitBoy Crypto, he hated Solana with a passion. And now he had all of these problems, he's fallen out, and now he calls himself the Sultan of Solana because even he can see the writing on the wall. And the writing on the wall is Solana is going to have a massive bull run. You know, I'm not talking $10,000 of Solana, but we might hit $500 this year. Maybe we'll hit $400 this year. We might hit $1,000 next year. It's hard to predict the future, but Solana has upward trajectory, especially with Pi, especially with the meme coins, especially with Jupiter. Everything about Solana, apart from the fact it goes down from time to time, it has VC money behind it as well. Everything about Solana is positive. What do we hear from Ethereum? We don't hear anything from Ethereum. Ethereum is mute, and that's not a good sign. But we're going to move on because we've got 13 minutes left. And I don't want to overrun because I have a meeting in 45 minutes. I don't even know what this number is. Is this 1.4 trillion? I think a $1.4 trillion pension fund in Japan is exploring diversification to Bitcoin and gold. This is what we want to see. We want to see pension funds in Bitcoin. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but if you look at a stock market and you took the total value of the stock market, let's say the FTSE 100, if you took the FTSE 100 in the UK and you added up the total market cap, and let's say it came to $100 trillion, around about $3 trillion, $4 trillion of all that money is held by pension funds. Pension funds hold more than people realize. So when you hear all of these things, these companies are making, obscene amounts of money. These energy companies are making all this money. They are, but 7% of that energy company is owned by a pension fund with your pension in it. So even though they're making obscene amounts of money, you're making that return on your pension. And pension funds are one of these things where nobody knows what they do. Nobody cares about them. They keep themselves to themselves. They don't advertise. They try and give you a gold clock to get you to come and be with them. But they hold vast amounts of money. Now, they're also risk averse. So when you see a pension fund look at Bitcoin and look at crypto, then you know that we're almost there. We are almost there. We've got the ETFs. We're going to get some sovereign nations buying Bitcoin. The, what's it called? The UAE, Saudi Arabia are looking at Bitcoin. Pension funds are now looking at Bitcoin. This is it. Now, if 3% of this fund invests their money, that's $4 billion of Bitcoin. $4.2 billion of Bitcoin inflowing. And that's a huge amount of money coming into Bitcoin, and that will move the price up. This is one pension fund from Japan. One pension fund from Japan. If every pension fund around the world put 1% of their money into Bitcoin, we would be sitting at $400,000 or $500,000 a Bitcoin. There's not enough Bitcoin in the world to satisfy countries and satisfy pension funds and satisfy billionaires. And what happens? What's the end goal for Bitcoin? If Bitcoin is such a scarce resource, what is the end goal? The end goal is the largest commodity, the largest asset in the world, overtaking gold. That's the end game for Bitcoin. That's where Bitcoin is aiming for. And at the minute, we're some ways behind. We've had 14 years to get Bitcoin to where it is today. Gold has had 2, 3, 4, 500 years. As far back as you can go, gold has been the currency. Bitcoin has been around in the blink of an eye in terms of history, and it's going to get gold's title because Bitcoin is finite and gold isn't. Gold can be dug out of the ground, and the more expensive gold becomes, the more profitable it is to dig out of the ground. There's a difference. So this pension fund is coming on board. It's the official government pension. It's curious about Bitcoin and crypto. On Tuesday, the Government Pension Investment Fund, GPIF, what a great name, requested information from the public on illiquid assets that it hasn't already invested in. Well, Bitcoin really isn't an illiquid asset, number one. The GPIF is the largest pool of retirement savings in the world according to the top1000funds.com. The fund is already invested in domestic bonds, domestic stocks, foreign bonds, etc. And its request materialized amid a potential shift in the crypto landscape in Japan. Reports last month indicate Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, as their administration was proposing revising legislation that would lift a restriction that prevents investment funds and VC firms from directly holding cryptocurrencies. We covered this on the channel. What people don't understand about Japan, if they've not watched us, is they are trying to create the metaverse of all metaverses. They want Japan to own the metaverse. And at many recent metaverse and NFT conferences, you've had the head of Japanese technology appearing on screen talking about how Japan is going to try and create a brand Japan, a global Japan, a Japan which runs the metaverse. And we all know what that means, because the metaverse, again, America is sleepwalking into oblivion on this, but the metaverse could power the majority of things that we see today, whether it be shopping, whether it be sporting events, music concerts. Imagine Taylor Swift. Can't stand the girl. However, imagine Taylor Swift. She does a performance in Texas, and you've got your Apple glasses on, and you pay your $25, and you've got a front row seat to see Taylor Swift in full VR. That's where we're going with music. It's where we're going with sporting events. You'll be able to sit by the goal when the penalties are being taken in a World Cup final. You're going to be able to sit next to Joe Biden or Donald Trump at the State of Union. You're going to be able to be in a game. So if somebody's playing Helldivers 2, you'll be able to actually be in the game watching them play this game. That's what the metaverse is about. And that's why Japan wants to front run it. So Japan is becoming pro-crypto. Don't think Japan are on their own. The UK are making massive strides. Singapore, Hong Kong, Africa's making its own inroads. It's just a race now. It's not a case of they're going to fight you or they're going to mock you. It's now they want to control it. And the metaverse, there's going to be huge legal battles in the future over the metaverse, the same way we have with the internet, where the metaverse will be controlled by one state over here, for their citizens controlled by another state over here, but Japan wants to own and operate the underlying technology. So then, that is that, and now we are on to Do Kwon, and this is surprising. This is surprising. I would have put my edible hat that I'm going to eat for Ethereum going over $3,000. I would have put money on Do Kwon being sent to America. He isn't. He's being sent to South Korea. Now, I don't know if you can hear the smile on my face, but he's not going to prison. He is not going to end up in prison, because in South Korea, I'm just trying to make this big enough for you to see on the screen without all of these pop-ups. There we go. Now, in South Korea, crypto assets are not classified as a financial product. So he's not committed a crime in South Korea, and the Americans know this, and the Americans have been kicking off, saying if he goes to South Korea, he won't go to prison. Now, my argument at the time, when this gentleman, this senator said this, was, how are you talking about somebody going to prison when there hasn't been a trial? You are innocent until you're proven guilty. So why is he talking about him getting a light sentence in South Korea when there's not been a court case? It's not the kind of words I would expect a senator to come out with, in my opinion. So, an appeals court in Montenegro Wednesday confirmed that a South Korean mogul known as the cryptocurrency king, he's not called the cryptocurrency king, nobody called him that. Who is this? Fox News. What a load of rubbish. So Do Kwon ran the Luna Foundation. He was in charge of USTC and Luna. It went into a death spiral. It wiped out 2 of the top 30 cryptocurrencies in the world. He went to Montenegro and he got arrested, and now he's being sent to South Korea to stand trial. He was charged in the US with fraud by federal prosecutors in New York. Now, bear in mind, he probably has never been to New York. He may very well have never been to America. Yet the Americans think they have carte blanche to arrest anybody they want in the world. He is a South Korean citizen. In my opinion, if this was a British man, he should be sent to the United Kingdom to stand trial. If he's German, he should be sent to Germany. He is South Korean, he should be sent to South Korea. Not based on Mr. America deciding that they want somebody. So he's going to go to South Korea. And Kwon's lawyer, Goran Rodic, has said that we are content with the decision of the appeals court. And there we go. It is now a binding decision, and the law envisages that further handover procedure will be handled by justice ministers in Montenegro and South Korea. The 32-year-old Do Kwon was arrested in the Balkan nation last year over a 40 billion crash of Terraform Labs. And it wrecked the market. Now, this isn't going to talk too much more about this. And we're actually 2 minutes before 12, so we've done it on time today. Now, the issue for me is I don't believe Do Kwon is guilty of anything other than mismanagement. He did not lead to the crash. He was not involved in the crash. The crash was instigated by 4 or 5 individuals who withdrew way too much USTC, and sold it on exchanges, causing them to depeg. Then the exchanges allowed people to short and long a stablecoin which shouldn't be allowed, so they caused further problems. And he sold Bitcoin to try and plug the hole, which caused the price of Bitcoin to fall. And we end up in this situation where they all went to pieces. And he's going to go to South Korea and stand trial. And if he is guilty of a crime, he will go to prison. If he is innocent, he will not. And that is the way that we should treat people. We should not decide they are guilty before they have stood trial. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the right decision. Do Kwon should be going to South Korea because he is South Korean. And that really wraps up today's show. Where are we on the show? We are 11:59. So what is my final thought of the day going to be? Well, given everything we have talked about, I would say that Bitcoin has recovered quite nicely back to where it was at 67,000. Anytime there is a huge Bitcoin crash, the immediate thought is panic and people thinking that we are going to go to $20,000. And social media influencers or crypto influencers, whatever you want to call them, they are more than happy to live on your fear because it gets them clicks. So you will see people saying Bitcoin's going to go to $30,000. It's going to go to $20,000. It's over. The ETFs have killed us, whatever. And they feed on your fear. A little bit like Monsters Inc., really. And that fear, in my opinion, is immoral. I think it's not the right way to live your life by scaring people, especially if they're new to crypto. So the one thing to bear in mind is it's one thing Bitcoin dropping $10,000 in a bear market, and it's another thing it dropping $10,000 in a bull market. They're two totally different phases of the market. If we were in a bear market, we would probably see something like this. That's what we see in a bear market. And we have these little tiny peaks where we come back up, but on the whole, it's down and to the right. That's a bear market. We are not in a bear market at this moment in time. We are in a bull market. So what we are likely to see, and this is to try and allay people's fears, especially if they're new to crypto, is we are going to see this. And over time, we're going to see potentially, that was a bit wrong, that one, try that way. We're going to see this kind of movement up. And yes, we're going to see more 10-15% dips. Maybe we see bigger wicks, because remember, the higher the price of Bitcoin, the more numerically it will fall. If Bitcoin goes from $20,000 to $18,000, that's a $2,000 dip, but it's a 10% dip. If Bitcoin goes from $100,000 to $90,000, it's still a 10% dip, but it's $10,000. So the higher the price of Bitcoin, the more you need to have the mental toughness to realize, in percentage terms, this is acceptable. Now, just to give you, I'm going to try and do this. It never works for me. I'm going to give it a go. 1 second. I just want to show you something. There we go. If I do this, there we go. Look at that. That's an expert. That. Look at that. Right. So we had roughly a 16% dip in this price movement. Maybe it was 15%. Maybe my graph is wrong. I don't really care. The point of the matter is 16%. Pre-halving, we expect dips of 20%. So if we did this again, down to 20%, that would take us to 58,600. So if we'd have done the full 20% dip, we'd have come down there. We did a 16% dip because Bitcoin is a higher asset, a higher value asset than it has been in the past. So maybe the previous 20% dips are now 16% dips. Maybe in 4 years' time, maybe the 16% dips are 11% dips, because it's so much harder to move an asset the bigger it gets. And you need to appreciate that we're going to have these red days, but we're also going to have monumental green days. I mean, if you look on that chart there, which is the weekly chart, look at the size of that. Look at that weekly move there. We went from 51,000 to 63,000 in a week. We went up over 20% in 1 week. And then we went up another 62 to 68. We went up another $6,000. So we did $18,000 in 2 weeks, and then we have a small correction. Everybody here is buying a Lambo. Everybody here is applying for a job at McDonald's. Zoom out. Look at where we were at the start of this run, which started in October. So October was here. Let me move that down a bit. So October really is when this began. This is when the bull run kind of started, the pre-bull run started. And look where we were. Look at the price we were at, $25,000. we've run from $25,000 all the way up to almost $74,000 that we've 3x'd in 5 months on the biggest crypto asset based off obviously the ETFs and things. Look at where we've come from, and then don't panic when we see these wicks. They are not nice. Nobody likes these wicks. They're horrible. They're really not very nice. But once you've lived through them a few times, you'll appreciate them for what they are, which is a kind of a correction. A kind of a correction where the leverage is pulled out of the market, and it's healthy. It's like pruning. We want to have the biggest rose bush in the garden, but if we just sit there and let it grow and grow and grow, it will become overgrown and it needs to be tended to. We need the shorts to be taken out. We need the longs to be taken out. We need to deleverage the market, and it's healthy. We are in a healthier position here than we were here, even though the price is 10% lower, because up here we had all the leverage. Down here we have no leverage, all been taken out by these massive surges down, massive surges up. So we liquidated the longs, we liquidated the shorts, we liquidated the longs, we liquidated the shorts. We've shook them all off. We're clear now. So this is healthy. These are healthy corrections. And when you zoom in, it's nice to see that we do actually sit quite nicely between these different fib levels. Anyway, that is enough from me. Thank you everybody for watching and tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed the stream as much as I have. I will be back. Actually, no, we are back tonight. I think we've got an 8 o'clock stream. We're going to be looking at a really unusual project called Breeders DAO. Breeders DAO. It's not launched yet, so it's not on exchanges, but we're going to go over the project. We're going to have a look at the team. We're going to have a look at the tokenomics and do that kind of stuff, but we're going to do it live. So that's going to be, I think, 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock tonight. I can't remember which. It's in the calendar anyway. So we're going to do that. I will put information up about that in the usual places on Telegram, for example. It's already on X. If you want to go and find out where that is, go and do that. If you can't make it tonight, I'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock with another show. We've only gone over by 7 minutes. That's not too bad. What's 7 minutes between friends? So take care. See you all either tonight or I will see you all in the morning. But don't panic. See you soon.